one of the guys at the Pro Male Collective, Pro Male Revolutionary, actually asked me an important question. He said, what is it, who does this generation of young men have to look up to? And I couldn't really answer him. You guys would have to tell me yourselves, because in his day, he said, like Bruce Lee was someone that, guys would look at and say, man, I'd love to, do what Bruce Lee does, form his own style of martial arts and showcase it in movies, or Muhammad Ali, or almost anyone you can think of. My personal favorite was actually the Columbo, Detective Columbo from the 70s, because he was really just an ordinary guy in most aspects, or even some par and others. But he was just such a good person, such a nice guy who was honest and genuine, and would actually love interacting with other people of all stripes. And, he'd be the complete opposite of the villain, who was usually, or I should say the culprit, because not all of them were that villainous, that who was, arrogant and ambitious and would be willing to sacrifice others for their, goals. And they'd be deceitful. And he would just keep doggedly after them until they cracked. But through the watching the shows, you realize when the culprit wasn't around, he would talk to other people in the cast, and he would be genuine, and you'd realize his spiel of just wanting to know something trivial, which he used to capture or catch these criminals. It wasn't just a spiel, it was his genuine self. There was an episode where as a detective, he had to keep up his marksmanship, and he was lousy at it, so he asked a young officer to take his gun, his target practice for him, so that he could keep doing his job. Because I don't recall Columbo even pulling out a gun. That's what he was about. He was a detective. He found out things. He didn't really need to be able to shoot a target at X number of yards to do his job. That was for, young able-bodied men. So, that's why I really loved Columbo. And, they are, society's just trashing, anything that you might love. The closest thing you might like is like Ed Grimes from, let's say, the zombie show there, whatchamacallit, The Walking Dead. But that's a rarity. Just think how many people watched, 6 seasons of The Sopranos. There was not one good person in The Sopranos, not one that I'd actually want to know. It was just a train wreck of a show. I never, I could see why people, I've watched a lot of episodes where it would just be on, get into it, but I always avoid that show because it made me feel dirty. There was just nobody I liked in it. Or another one is like House, Dr. House, where he was just a nasty, dirty person as far as I'm concerned. He was just someone that I think they would have just fired him and got rid of him and said, we'll do without you, And they would catch me, with advertisements of this medical mystery, but 2/3 of the show was just him shitting on other people and drumming up drama and conflict. He was just a nasty person. I think I always felt bad, like I said, watching the show just brought me down, And shows like Lie to Me, or there was even a brief one, Shark something or other, which was, the lawyer version of it with James Woods. Those ones didn't last very long, but the point I'm trying to make is that they started making their main guys these really nasty people. I said, that's what they're shilling out to you now. Or, like Survivor show was the first kind of its kind, where or like Doug Ramsey, where they're just nasty people, and they're not people to look up to. People just like the train wrecks, or they're just they appreciate them because they're just in charge. They're ass kickers. They don't care that they're nasty people that actually make society worse. People just think, well, they're ass kickers, and that's all I know. That's all I care about. Take Steve Jobs. People brag that he did this or did that, but I don't really know what he's done, because they don't really talk about what he's done. He was just a nasty person who didn't know how to deal with other human beings. My understanding is that's why they dropped him at one point, because he's such a genius, but he can't figure out to just treat people with respect, and that he'd get more out of them. Like, this guy's a dunce. I don't know if he died or not. So he was a dunce, or he is a dunce if he's still alive. The point is, he's just someone I just look down on. I look down on people like this. I don't admire them. Hell, Zuckerberg, isn't he the guy who made Facebook? He made more impact in society than Steve Jobs ever did. But people like Steve Jobs because, well, he was just a nasty ass kicker, and that's all they seem to care about. And that's what I really see the problem with this generation, is that no one's really offering someone to look up to in a real sense. Genghis Khan was an ass kicker. You wouldn't want to meet him in person. You want people that you can, you look at and say, I want to be that person, or I want to be like that person. Look here in Canada, our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, his father was someone who was in politics for years, and he was someone, whether you agreed with his politics or not, that you'd say, yes, I would love to be like Trudeau. He stood for the country. And his son Justin is just some, milquetoast, go with the wind. He's an embarrassment to the political landscape. But that's what we've got. It's important for a guy to have someone to emulate and say, I want to be like this person. So hopefully you guys can say, well, there are people like that, and this is mine. But we'll see. I think that's all I need to say about this. Thank you.